Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, I'm all sorts of excited to talk to you. I want to get your thoughts on the Aaron Rodgers run it back / maybe hit the reset button. Want to get your thoughts, comments, concerns about everything that went on yesterday, as well as the maybe fallout potentially with Garrett Wilson. Where the Jets head from here? We can talk some draft stuff. We could talk about some potential future outcomes. Where do we stand as far as Olu Fashanu's health situation goes, and all the fun little things that we could talk about. So if you're coming in here, make sure you hit that like button. It's greatly appreciated. Hanging out with you on a Christmas Eve night here. Going to be doing this, we'll see. We might do an hour, might do 2 hours. Just kind of kicking it around, hanging out. I see Charles, Jimmy Jets, and Wild Wave in the chat. Nice to have you guys in here. Greatly appreciated. Boys and girls, before we get too far into this, I just want to say this stream is powered by BetUS. BetUS, how many games do you think the Jets win? We got 2 games left. Bills and Dolphins, 2 division rivals. Get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. I think the Jets lose versus the Bills. I do think we wind up being kind of competitive depending on what happens during this Christmas Christmas Chiefs game. If the Chiefs win, they lock up the number 1 seed throughout the playoffs, so they can rest their starters, and the Bills don't have anything to play for the remaining 2 weeks of the season. That might mean they'll allow Josh Allen to rest his hand and see where things go. So maybe the Bills game is going to be a little bit more competitive. I do want to see them play their starters because I'd like to see our starters play against some legitimate competition. I do think the Dolphins probably are not going to have, we already know they're out of the playoffs, so they're not fighting for anything right now. But I think the Jets can win in MetLife in January versus the Fins. So I think we get at least 1 more win, potential 2, depending on what happens on that Thursday game. Boys and girls, got a few topics clicking through. I've got Olu Fashanu's injury. Are we running it back? Vrabel interested pending the GM pick. Garrett Wilson trade rumors. I shouldn't say trade rumors so much as it is like Garrett Wilson speculation. What's going to happen? Is he going to request a trade? What does the fan base ultimately want to do? I know none of us really want to lose him. But man, it's hard to blame him after like how yesterday went. Yesterday, the whole Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, saga, the bromance, whatever it is, of trying to get to 500 touchdowns. We saw the one clip from the sideline coaches tape today of, it was like late in the third quarter. Jets are deep in Rams territory, 4th down. There is a wide open Garrett Wilson crossing the center of the field for a first down. Jets would have continued their drive. Aaron Rodgers decided to not even look off of Davante Adams at all and threw it up for a kind of a long shot. He was well covered in the end zone, and ultimately they turned it over on down. So Aaron Rodgers force-feeding the ball to Davante Adams just to make sure his buddy gets the 500th touchdown, cost the Jets points. On top of, the Jets just cost themselves points anyways, as far as going for a 4th down in your own territory, missing an extra point, missing a field goal. Lots of points left out there on the field. Just by that magic, or just by that logic alone, I'm pretty sure the Rams kicked a field goal when we turned it over on downs in our own territory. I could be wrong. If that's 7 points, it even bolsters the case even more. But missed extra point, missed field goal. That's 4 points right there. Not kicking the field goal on that 4th down. I mean, you're talking 7 points. That's a touchdown. Very close to the difference in this game. So I don't know. Interesting stuff that we're going to get into. Boys and girls, hello, Charles, Jimmy Jets, Wild Wave. Excited for the upcoming holiday or no? Yes, I'm very excited. We are doing a murder mystery Christmas Eve. So Becca and I host a big Christmas Eve with our immediate families, my family, her family. And we always do a theme each year. Last year was a magical Christmas. The year before that was... do Italian food or pasta or something. I don't know. We try to do something a little different, but we're doing a murder mystery this year. Never done a murder mystery before. So all our white elephant gifts revolve around something crime or mystery related to feed into the theme. And it's kind of fun. So that'll be good. And then Christmas Day, I thought we were going 2 roads over to Becca's mom's house. We're actually going to her grandma's house now. So I'm going to be traveling in like an hour. So we'll see. Your boy's getting a new car, which is very exciting. Unfortunately, first off, they told me they were going to pick up the car today and that I can pick it up tomorrow. But now it seems I won't be able to pick up my car till Thursday or Friday, so I don't get the big old red bow on the car for Christmas. My car was running into some trouble, and rather than fix it, I decided trade it in and get what I could get. So, speaking of trades, Garrett Wilson, is he going to ask for a trade? I don't know. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Wild Wave, I'm done with Aaron. The Rams game was the nail in the coffin. I value our future more. That is sort of where I fall on this as well. I'm very much like flip-flopping back and forth week by week, so I apologize if my opinion is changing week over week because it just feels like I'm getting new and different information each week, and I will adjust my opinion as such. So I liked what we were getting out of Aaron Rodgers from the last, since the bye week. I thought the Jets were more efficient. I thought the Jets' offense looked a lot better. It seemed like everyone was starting to click, but we're seeing a more and more unhappy Garrett Wilson. So does running it back with Rodgers maybe give us a better chance at potentially having success next year? Probably. I think he's probably the best quarterback you could plug in, and having Devontae Adams here certainly, has been a net positive in terms of production on the offensive side of things. Now, from a chemistry standpoint, you can definitely argue that it's not the way to go. And forcing yourself into a situation where you might have to trade Garrett Wilson, or at least have a very unhappy young star, I don't love that. I'm sort of torn on this. Not torn in the sense of, I don't want to trade Garrett Wilson. But, do we just hit the blow-up button and then either draft a quarterback this year or kind of punt on quarterback this year? Maybe we go Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor, and Jordan Travis for next year. I'm totally down with that. I have no problem with that. I really like Justin Fields. I think he is a better culture fit for where you want this nucleus to be than Aaron Rodgers is. But at the same time, if you keep everyone together and you say, hey, Vrabel comes in and he says, hey, look, Garrett, I got stuck in a situation last time in Tennessee where I was forced to get rid of a star wide receiver as opposed to paying him. That's not happening again. You're not going anywhere. I'm not trading you. I want you here for the long haul. That's what Vrabel or whatever our head coach or GM has to come in and say to Garrett. You are the future. You are the future. We want to invest in you. What's it going to take to keep you here long term? And just have that conversation. Because, if there's a situation where Garrett Wilson's getting paid a ton of money and he can put up with Aaron Rodgers here for one more year, I wouldn't necessarily mind that. But I'm not sold to any one idea. I hate the idea of moving on from Rodgers and then he goes somewhere else and then has an absolutely go off kind of season and he's back to MVP caliber form and we just let him walk out the door, which is basically, I can't say basically what happened with Brett Favre back in 2009, but man, could you imagine if we had Brett Favre from the Vikings on that Jets team when we had Sanchez for those 2 years? Jets would have won a Super Bowl. So part of me doesn't want to do that. I'm not huge on drafting a quarterback this year. I was really hoping the Jets would get one of Allar or Milroe. A few weeks back. Now Allar goes back to school. Milroe, I am a little wishy-washy on right now. I think I fall into the let's load up the roster as best we can for next year and the future, right? If you're going to draft a quarterback in 2026, build up the roster to make it as good as possible. If you want to move on from Rodgers, you're taking all your dead cap hit next year and you hit that reset button, and then 2026, you have all the cap space in the world to work with. Rodgers was on the McAfee show today. Said, if I get cut by a teenager, that'll be something. That'll be a story. So, I don't know if him taking, is that seen as him taking a little bit of a shot at Woody's kid? Or is that seen as, him just being tongue-in-cheek over what the media is reporting? I don't know how the owner's going to read into that. Our owner's not exactly the brightest bulb in the box, not the sharpest tool in the shed. One fry short of a Happy Meal he is, Mr. Woody Johnson. Wish he would sell the team. I really do. Boys and girls, we got a poll question in the chat. I want to know from you, what do you prefer the Jets do? Run it back with Aaron, hit the reset button. I don't care. There's 3 options. I'm literally, I guess I'm probably the third one. I could care less. I don't say I care less. I can see the argument for either direction. I think if Aaron's not here, the answer's not the answer, but the temporary Band-Aid fix to hopefully keep Garrett around. I see it 3 ways, right? Keep Aaron around. Nah, maybe 4 ways. We'll call it 4 ways. Keep Aaron around. Garrett's disgruntled, and you trade him for a bunch of picks. Keep Aaron around. You tell Garrett you're not trading him, and you force him to stay here until Aaron's retired, like after next year. And then you get a new quarterback, and Garrett just kind of has to deal with it because he's under contract. Not ideal, but I would prefer that over trading him, honestly. You move off Rodgers, and you say you're hitting the reset button. You get the 2 firsts for Garrett Wilson, and you just start rebuilding from there, which I do not want to do. I don't think the 2 first-round picks that we get from Garrett Wilson is going to net us a player as good as Garrett Wilson is. This is not like the Jamal Adams situation. Like Jamal Adams, to me, you got 2 first-round picks. I'm saying, good, gravy. He's not worth 2 first-round picks. He's not worth 1 first-round pick. Garrett Wilson is absolutely worth every bit of 2 first-round picks. There is a very high chance that the Jets could wind up with like D. Milner and like Quentin Coples in the draft. Now, which one would you prefer? Quentin Coples and D. Milner? Or would you prefer Garrett Wilson? I'm taking the known commodity every single time. So that leads me to my 4th position. If you're going to move off Rodgers and you want to try and keep Garrett happy, maybe that's with the contract. Maybe you say, hey, we're going to do a contract after next year. It's fine. Maybe he says like, hey, look, we want to bring in your college quarterback. We want to bring in Justin Fields. Want to let him compete with Jordan Travis, who's already on the roster. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the backup for whoever is the starting quarterback. I don't think Tyrod would be the 3rd string. Maybe. But I think from the very... I think Fields would be a leadership change. I think there's a grittiness to him that I think plays well in New York. When we were watching the Clemson versus Ohio State college game, myself, Matt, and Green being a few years back for that draft, I thought for sure the Jets were going to take Fields. I was dead set on it. I was like, this is my quarterback. This guy is tough as nails. His teammates go to war with him. He has not been a great passer of the ball in the NFL. Not very accurate. You'll see a lot of wide passes. Not ideal. But man, could you imagine the power running game with Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, and Justin Fields? And then if he figures out how to pass the ball, I'm interested to see who our offensive coordinator is going to be. If you plug in Vrabel as our head coach, if that's like where we're headed and that's what we're going to wind up getting, who's he bringing in? Can you get a Daboll from the Giants? Daboll and Vrabel overlapped during their time in New England. Vrabel as a player, Daboll as a coach. Do you bring in Josh McDaniels? Obviously, the New England connection. I don't particularly like Josh McDaniels. I think he's a real douche nozzle. Him as an OC is probably different than him as a head coach. Bright side is, I don't think he's ever getting a head coaching job again. So you probably don't have to worry about your offensive coordinator getting poached if he winds up being decent. Downside, if you don't want Justin Fields, is Josh McDaniels literally went to Denver. And did he trade up in that first round, or did he just use his first round draft pick? Whatever it was. He used his draft pick on basically like white Justin Fields and Tim Tebow. Can't throw the ball. Incredible college athlete. Really good runner of the football. So maybe you are getting Justin Fields if Josh McDaniels comes here. Oh, geez. I don't know. I'm talking tongue-in-cheek here. Lots of different ways the Jets can go. In the next few days, I'll probably put out a mock offseason if the Jets keep Rodgers, and a mock offseason if the Jets move off of Rodgers. I want to see the 2 different potential outcomes and how I would go about fixing either particular team. Because I think it's fascinating. You really could go in any different direction. Nick says, I'll be so mad if Olu turns into Becton after his rookie injury. I really hope that's not what it is. I really think Olu looks better from a pass blocking perspective than Becton did. Becton was much better as a run blocker his rookie year. I don't get the weight struggles in the Olu camp the way I did with Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton had a lot of red flags coming out. One, I don't think popping a marijuana test is terrible, but I think popping a marijuana test before your biggest job interview of your career is a really dumb move, and that's what Mekhi Becton did that year. He also battled with weight fluctuation. He had nutritionists, I think, twice in college, and then once with us, and he wound up kind of like going up and down as far as like career goes, and battling with his weight. I think Olu will be fine. I just hopefully it's not too bad of an injury. I don't think we've seen anything other than like it's a foot and not an Achilles right now is what Samini heard. J-Boy, all this Wilson trade talk started in the offseason. Thanks, Ryan. Dude, I've been saying since last year, like if we don't figure out this quarterback situation, Garrett's going to ask for a trade. Like this is not a shocking revelation by any means. I had a lot of people yelling at me saying like, I can't believe you would think like that. Like, dude, I'm paying attention. I was real early on the Jamal Adams trade by like a year. That one I was on board with trading Jamal. I wanted to move off him in a hurry. Garrett, I am not singing that same tune. I do think he's going to ask for a trade. I don't think we should grant it. Daniel, Greg the Leg, not looking so bad now, is he? Dude, Carlson, missed extra point, missed field goal, not the way you want to do it. How about that kicker from Dallas last night? Aubrey, kicking what, 2 58-yarders and a 53-yarder? Guy's got a monster leg. Dakota says, I'm so over it. Dr. Gorman, thanks for your opinion. Christmas is ruined for a second straight season for me. Last year when we beat the Commanders, the final, 2 games or 3 games before the end of the season, that ruined my Christmas Eve. I was like, really? That's how we're going to do it? We're going to have a 4-touchdown lead, and then we're just going to blow it all and have to kick a 50-yarder just to beat the Commanders, to knock us out of position to get either Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze. That's what that cost us. This year, I don't really feel that way. Now, I'll be honest, I do hope we lose these next 2 games. And I hope other teams in front of us win some games, so that way we move up in the draft ranking. I'm not going to actively be rooting for losses, but I do kind of hope it happens. I'd like to get one of Mason Graham or McMillan, the receiver from Arizona. 2 guys I very much like. Abdul Carter's up there on my list. I don't really want to go edge, but if this year's any indication, you can't just have 2 edge rushers. And if you have Will McDonald and a hobbled JJ next year, this D-line is not going to look a whole lot better anyway. I think we still need our JFM replacement in terms of like a D tackle that might be able to play a little bit of D end. But do you triple down on the first round in first round picks at edge rusher? That's where I'm kind of torn a little bit. Jimmy Jets. Ryan, I told you all Ryan wanted Garrett Wilson gone. I did not want Garrett Wilson gone. I said I think this is definitely going to happen, which is sad. Sad to me. Sauce and Garrett are taking shots at the Jets situation. I value Sauce and Garrett more than Rodgers and Adams. Yes, I agree. So do I. Tony says absolutely no draftable quarterbacks other than Klubnik or King. If they come out, can't draft a quarterback 1, same exact mistake. Yeah, Tony, I'm kind of with you on that. Now, let's say Allard came out and the Jets were to trade down and you wanted to make a selection a little bit higher in the first round, I would have been kind of okay with that. This situation now, Milroe, if he's there in the second, I don't mind them taking a stab at him, but I don't want them trading up for him, and I don't want to use a first-round pick on him right now. I would rather just surround this roster with talent, regardless of who the quarterback is, whether it's Rodgers or not. Then that means you want to build it for Fields, or you want to build it for Tyrod, or you want to build it for Travis. And then if none of those guys are the answer, then you're building it for quarterback whoever in 2026. There should be a much better quarterback class. And at that point in 2026, I'm cool with moving the farm. You want to give up multiple years of first-round picks to go up and get your guy because you think we're going to be picking in the middle of the pack. I'm all right with that. If you build the roster out enough, you'll be just fine. There's plenty of, I shouldn't say there's plenty of teams, but the Rams for what, 10 years? Almost 8 years, is it? 2016 to 2024. They had 2 first-round picks. Jared Goff and whoever they took last year. The name is escaping me right now. Was it Verse? I think it was Verse. Just played him, right? I think that's who their first-round pick was. J-Boy says Carson Beck all the way. If he's around like, mid rounds, I don't mind taking a crack at him. He would have gone a little bit higher last year, but I don't know if he necessarily provides as much intrigue as like Jordan Travis 2 years into his, or a year and a half into his NFL career does. And does it just kind of take away maybe a linebacker or a safety that you could have had? King is already going back to school. He's already decided. I'd rather bring in Justin Fields as our bridge quarterback and go from there. Yeah, I am definitely team Justin Fields. I like Justin Fields a lot. I have liked him the last few years, basically since he was coming out of college. If the Jets wanted to make him the number 2 pick instead of Zach Wilson, would have been fine with it. Now, it wouldn't have worked out, obviously, but I would have taken it. Anisha says, fire sale on everyone except the Williams brothers and Wilson. I'm not so sure Quincy's going to be here beyond next year. He might be looking for a contract. I like Quincy a lot. If he'll stay here on a reasonable deal, I would do it. I guess he hasn't probably played to like the all-pro level this year. But I think he has outperformed his existing contract with us. I don't want to fire sale everyone. I really don't. Davo, not super up to date on Jordan Travis. Is there a reason he isn't being talked about too much? I did want to see what we have in him. So he's on the IR. He's not going to be playing this year. It was like a redshirt year for him either way. He had a really gruesome injury at the end of last year, which caused him to fall from what was perceived to be maybe a third round pick quarterback down to, I think we got him in the 5th round. So it's more of a lottery ticket than anything else. Like if you really like your evaluation of a quarterback in this year's draft, let's just say there is a quarterback you like, I would not pass on that quarterback for Jordan Travis. The worst case scenario you have is you have an RG3 Kirk Cousins, 2 good quarterbacks on your roster situation. And that is not a bad problem to have. That being said, I would be a little surprised if Travis winds up being the future for this team, but if they want to run it back with Fields and Travis and Tyrod and compete, I'd get down. I could get down. I am going to pin the call-in number in the chat if you guys would like to call in and talk a little ball. Let me just pull that up. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. Happy to talk with you guys. I'll still talk to the chat if no one wants to call in. Totally fine either way. All right, let's see. Just get myself situated. Oh, already had that one. Where am I looking here? Wild Wave says, there's a good possibility that we lose 2 stars this offseason, maybe 3. I guess there's the potential of us losing like a Garrett and Brees or something along those lines. I hope that doesn't happen. I'd be kind of irritated. All right, let's go to our first guest. Got Mike on the line. Let me see. I just switched this up. How am I going to hit this now? I think this is right. Mike, what's up, dude?
Yo, man. Yeah, I just want to talk again and kind of like follow up with yesterday's conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's really clear to me. I don't think the new regime's going to eat that dead cap. I mean, I keep looking at that number, and I keep thinking they're not going to tie themselves to 1 year of Rodgers to financially screw themselves for 3 years. So I just can't see that happening. I think what they'll do is they're going to go, we draft this year, best player, don't go quarterback, we'll suck. And then we'll look at 2026, whatever that year that draft is, and they'll go, Archie Manning's coming out, Drew Aller's coming out, other guys are coming out. Like I know Manning's probably a long shot, and I get that, but there's going to be talent there. So why don't we build a roster and then get the quarterback? That would make a lot more sense, I think, than reaching, and it will be a reach in this draft class for a quarterback.
Yeah,
I just can't see that happening.
That's kind of the vibe I've got as well. I feel like if you want to run it back with Rodgers, you are hamstringing yourself to some degree with the cap. Like, it's not terrible. Yeah. You could split that over 26 and 27. And I think if you have him and Devontae, let's call it, I don't know, $70 million worth, $80 million worth of dead cap $40 million a year. Like not great if you split it over
gotta
the 2
kick
years.
Devontae's. You gotta kick Devontae's contract down the road too, because that's $30 million.
Sure.
Like that's a
Well, yeah,
crazy cap number two for.
But you're not
Yeah,
going
that's
to
why they
have him
didn't
at
want
30
to touch.
million.
No, they'll have to rework the contract or something. But that's why they didn't want to touch the contract when they traded for him, because they wanted that bargaining power of that $30 million for next year. So it's like it's scary. I think it's like a looming thing they're gonna have to work with the new GM, and that's what Vrabel means when he's like, I needed the right GM, because you're gonna have
Now,
to work some of this cap shit.
Would you be down with Fields for 2025? Like, let's say it's
would be
Fields,
if we're
Travis,
not-
Tyrod.
Yeah, that's fine. They're gonna throw whatever at the wall and go, guys. You knew this was gonna be this type of year. It's we're gonna suck, and then we'll go. The guy that I'm interested in is JJ McCarthy. If they re-sign Sam Darnold, who is still young, who has talent, who just took this team to the playoffs, you're really gonna keep JJ? Like, I get yes, but it's also like, how long are you gonna string him along? If Darnold's your guy, it's not like he's like 35 years old and he's on a 4-year like. There's a chance Darnold could be their future quarterback for 10 years.
Sure. Now,
So,
if JJ becomes available, do you think it could be like a Vrabel McCown kind of pairing and trying to bring JJ in from?
Yes, and I think you can. I'm not saying you get him like you give up your first for him or something, but you're gonna have to work out a really fair deal, maybe a second round pick if the Jets make the playoffs. It becomes a first. Like I don't know, but like
Maybe it's a first round
gonna
pick
have
swap or something. Like Jets are picking, let's say 10, and we get picked. For argument's like 28 and JJ.
Yeah, like I would do that, because I think this guy has talent. He's coming. They're gonna have like, well, we don't know what we have with JJ, and we just like I see like that could be an option. I'm just throwing things out there because all options are gonna be on the table when there's no. You're not picking high enough to get a quarterback that you actually like. Let's be honest. And the options in free agency are less than stellar this year. So you're kind of in a rock and a hard place of, what do we do? So you might get creative and go for a JJ, bring in Justin Fields, try to keep Garrett Wilson happy. I can live with that. I just don't see them going, yeah, Rodgers is the de facto safe move. I don't think it's safe. I think it would hinder the team in the long run for what they would want to do in a rebuild.
Do you think Rodgers continues to play, or do you think Rodgers continues to play, and if he does, where do you think he would go?
His ego is so big. He's gonna play. I have no idea. I don't know if teams will want him. I genuinely don't know, because they're seeing this guy. He's like a narcissistic, arrogant asshole, and it works when he wins. When he wins, it fixes everything, and you can deal with his attitude. But when he's losing, you hear it in the press conferences. Oh, I look one way and I only throw that one side, and then I look the other. I'm like, the fuck are you saying? Like half his press conferences are just nonsense, and he thinks we're stupid when he explains them. Oh, I didn't check out those runs. We only checked out of 2 of them. And Ulbricht's going, we checked out like 50. Like, make somebody fucking get on the same page. I don't care. I know you suck, Ulbricht. I know you do. But you can't tell me he's that bad. He probably is. I'm probably underselling it. But just like, I don't have an answer for that. Like, I don't know where Rodgers goes. No teammate want him. Everyone may look at him and go, you're 42 and you're done. But like,
San Francisco is the only team I can think of, and if I were them, I would go after Kirk on a cheap deal, because he's guaranteed money next year, and Kirk and Shanahan spent time together in Washington already.
And then you could still try to save Purdy and get something out of him, because I think he kind of hit that ceiling of, he was never that great. The team was so talented. He was just good enough to keep it moving. And then in the Super Bowl, Shanahan does what he does best, and that's try to beat everyone but himself. But that's all I got. I mean, I want McMillan. I don't think Graham's going to be there at 7, but I think McMillan doesn't fall, but I'm praying he does, because Jesus Christ. If I have to watch Allen Lazard drop another 7 passes.
Dude, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the Patriots get high enough that they get Jordan Travis and they don't touch McMillan, because that's the one team that really scares the bejesus me.
Yep. I think they could also take Graham. I see the Patriots, like, Graham's a Patriot guy to me too. So it's like, I kind of have him pegged being there. Like, I'm hoping McMillan doesn't go, but I'm just so scared. I'm like, that guy is like my defense. Him and Abdul Carter, like, they're both so good. Like, please, Jets, don't reach on a bullshit quarterback. I hear the sort of golf we get back, I'm going to lose my brain cells. The guy doesn't say, I don't watch tape. I don't care what you're trying to say, buddy. I'm over you. But
Mike, I appreciate
have a good night,
the call.
man. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, dude. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. I switched the layout a little bit here, and I'm trying to get the timer to go. It did go towards the end there, so I'm wondering if I click this button one more time, if it will go. Does it do this? Hold on, give me 1 second. Before I go over to our boy Charles, gonna look into my macros and see if it's there. Timer should be there. All right, let's give it a whirl. Give it a whirl. Let's see. We got Charles and we got Nick. How you doing, Charles?
Good, Ryan. How are you, buddy?
I'm hanging in there. Definitely hoping we get to see a little bit of positivity
What really
towards this offseason.
aggravated me yesterday, the Jets threw the ball way too much. They should have stuck to the run a bit more. Brees Hall was getting some good runs here and there. But I think Aaron Rodgers was trying to force feed the ball to Devontae Adams a bit too much. Excuse me. And I can understand why Garrett is frustrated because he developed such a big bond with Aaron Rodgers these past couple of years. And obviously now that his best friend Devontae is there and they've had so much chemistry ever since their Green Bay days, it's really kind of, I felt, hurt their relationship. But as for who I want as the head coach, my first choice was Brian Flores because I liked what he was doing in Miami prior to him surprising the world where he got fired after the 2021 season. But I wouldn't mind if we get Mike Vrabel. I do like Mike Vrabel.
Is there an offensive coordinator you like for either one of those guys?
As much as I don't dislike Brian Daboll, I think the Giants are going to fire his ass at the end of the year because this season has been a complete disaster. I mean, for the Giants, I mean, their offensive line has been bad, and it got even worse once their best player on the offensive line, Andrew Thomas, went on. Daniel Jones completely fell off a cliff after his respectable 2022 season. The quarterbacks have been crap. I mean, Drew Lock has been terrible. Tim Boyle is trash. Tommy DeVito was hurt. I like Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator because he was a great offensive coordinator with the Bills when he helped develop Josh Allen into the stuff. And obviously, this is arguably, I know Jet fans don't want to hear me say this, Josh Allen's having an MVP caliber season, and he's having the best statistical season of his career.
He's having an incredible year. Him or Lamar, and honestly, Barkley. Those three are really the only three in the conversation, in my opinion.
And I have to give a huge shout out to my dude, Sham BTW. He said, why isn't Sam Darnold being mentioned in the MVP conversation? Because he's having a tremendous season.
Because he's got Justin Jefferson there.
And
he's got Justin Jefferson there. That's the whole reason. It's perception versus. It's all about perception, Charles. It's all about perception, Charles. It's Josh Allen was supposed to have a bad year because his cap hits were getting higher. Diggs is no longer there, and now all of a sudden he's having a lights out season with basically no. I don't want to say basically no talent, but perceivably no talent on the offense to help him. Where Sam Darnold has arguably the best wide receiver in the game going with Justin Jefferson. That's the difference for me.
Future Hall of Famer.
Cooper?
Yeah, a future Hall of Famer in my opinion.
I don't know if he's lived up to what they were hoping he would be when they traded for him. They didn't give up a whole lot for him, but I don't know if he's like
Cooper for his career.
No, I understand that, but I don't know if I necessarily even put him in the. I guess I'd have to look at his stats. I wouldn't think of him as a Hall of Fame receiver right now.
But you got James Cook, who's a very good running back. They got Dalton Kincaid, who's a solid. Dawson Knox, no scrub, and their offensive line is incredible. I think Josh Allen has been sacked less than 20 times this year.
Yeah, look, his team has performed well. I think he is the leader of a team, but I think it's all about perception. It's that whole thought of like, okay, well, the Bills are supposed to be bad because the cap hits are coming due. The Diggs is no longer there, the safety blanket. So I think that's the narrative. When you look at someone like Lamar Jackson, they get, Derrick Henry in there. And even though Lamar's still going off statistically, I think he's got less interceptions and more total touchdowns than Allen. I think Allen has like 10 rushing touchdowns to Lamar's maybe like 3 or 4, but Lamar's got more passing touchdowns. Yardage, I think they're right neck and neck with one another. I don't know where they are as far as rushing yards go.
Barkley
but the perception of what was that?
Barkley may break Eric Dickerson's record. He's closing on 2,000 yards.
Oh yeah, no, I know. If I think Barkley is, as worthy as any non-quarterback to try and get that award. I think he just ran into a really tough season with Allen and Lamar, and I don't know if he's going to get it. Charles, anything else for me before I eject you out of here?
Yeah, I just want to wish you, your friends, and your family, and the rest of your fan base, well, I'm part of the fan base, laugh out loud, a happy, healthy, safe, and Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.
You as well, Charles. You have a great holiday season with you and yours. You have been ejected from the cockpit. Charles, always a pleasure to talk with you. All right, I'm going to try and see if I can get my timer working. I won't use it for this next one because I haven't used it for my first 2 calls. But I do want to, maybe I'll try and get it working on another call. That's what we'll do. I'll try it after on my next call-in show. All right, let's go over to Nick. Nick! How you doing, dude?
Ryan, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm torn as to what the Jets should do for this offseason. I want to hear from you. What do you think? Run it back with Rodgers, punt on Rodgers, and do something different? What do you want to see?
So there's a couple things, right? So there's a couple of avenues you can go down.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I are around a similar age, and I always think back the Testaverde years. 98 was my team growing up. I don't know about you. If you're more of like the 09 area, but like
no, I would say 98, and then the Pennington years, and then I was in college for Sanchez and everything, and that was a blast. But like, I definitely consider the start of my fanhood. Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett, Vinny Testaverde. Like, that's really my first vivid memories of being a Jet fan.
Okay, so you were again same age and things like that. So I think, to me, I look back and I have fond memories of that 98 team with Testaverde. And just like the nostalgia may not be the right thing, but number 1 overall pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I see Jameis Winston at, was he 29, 28, 20? He's not that.
Yeah, he's right around 30. He was drafted 2015, I think. I think it was the year before Goff and Wentz.
Right. So like, I see that a very similar career trajectory with him moving forward. So I have that like same feeling as far as moving, like where this team goes. Vrabel's the obvious top choice. He's the only one with the most experience who can get things on the right track to me. You need a disciplinarian, someone who's proven, who's won. He is potentially, I don't want to go out, but he could be this generation's Parcells. Like, you just never know the way things shake up, and he's done a great job where he's been.
I feel like he's incredibly smart. He's a chess player at the head coach position.
And you've seen it, and that's what really angered me about this past game is like just terrible clock management decisions, which we've seen for years now. It's just, there's situations that we had that were just easy. And I get, like, you want to be aggressive because it's a 4-10 team, and what does it matter? Let's go for it on our own 38-yard line. Dumb decisions, but there's just logical decisions that, like, even someone as a defensive coordinator auditioning for potential head coach opportunities or other coaching opportunities, like, it was dumbfounding. Some of the clock, like the decisions that Ulbricht made. It's like, I thought Saleh was bad, and Ulbricht is just he's like half of Saleh, which is like,
it's incredibly disappointing. I want someone who I could feel like is really smart, and I feel like Vrabel, I look at him and the decisions he's made in game, especially in like crunch time situations, and that's when I'm like, Vrabel's the guy. If he wants it, you give him the keys and you say, who do you want as GM? I keep saying Glenn Cook, the guy from Cleveland. That's sort of where I'm hanging my hat right now, but open to anyone that he wants. And I trust him on offensive coordinator as well, even if it is like a Josh McDaniels that I don't particularly want.
No, it's fair. And like, moving forward, I don't know where they stand. Like, Rodgers has played well statistically. Like, he's made some plays that you're like, okay, yeah, is he probably the best physical option right now? Yeah. Like, from what we've seen, but that doesn't mean someone like a Winston who's younger couldn't achieve more in the right system and maybe be more like a better fit for the right system, right? Like a West Coast system or whatever we're going to run the next.
Would you prefer Winston over, like, I think Winston's a better quarterback than Fields, but would you prefer that route?
Yes. Like, I don't think Fields to me is just, he's very athletic, but he's not the
Mm.
type of quarterback that this team can win with. I think a
Mm.
veteran, like with the talent already on the roster, a veteran can just piece it together. Like you've seen Jameis do it already in Cleveland.
They haven't won many
So,
games though. I don't even know how many games he's won. They've got what, 3 wins?
but yeah, I haven't followed them
They've
super
been fun, but he's benched now. Now you got Thompson Robinson or whatever at quarterback.
I just think the way the options available, like the Rodgers situation, yes, he's the best available option of any quarterback that could be available, in my opinion. Like
Mm.
if Cousins shakes free or Derek Carr shakes free, they're not better than Rodgers. What we're seeing with Rodgers, the problem with Rodgers is, if you're going to tell me Rodgers is the quarterback next year with whoever the coach is,
Mm.
then one of the first 2 picks, I'd prefer not the first round pick, but the second round pick has to be a quarterback that you can then say, listen, if this team goes belly up again, like it is, the last 6 games are going to a young quarterback that we can see where we're at. And sorry, like you're a Hall of Famer, but we have to do what's best for our team.
I'm not like sold on a quarterback for this year. Like even if Rodgers comes back, I would have been. I think Aller would have been my guy to let him sit for a year. But now that he's not coming out, I'm a little less confident in that. Like I'd be more like, okay, let's see what Jordan Travis has for the tail end of this year, like not this year, next year, and
Right.
then you have your pick for 2026. I feel like if you pull the trigger on a quarterback, say in the second round of this year's draft, you're selling yourself short in terms of trying to find a guy for next year's draft, because that second round pick could have been used on a defensive tackle or a safety or a linebacker or a receiver or something like that that could help your future quarterback as well as help in the now. The backup quarterback
Agreed.
is just like a hope he's a hit.
Agreed. No, you make a great point, and I agree to that extent. But the reason I say that, and it's not the most sound logic, but Aaron Rodgers, to me, week 12, 13, 14, whatever, even if the team's 4-10,
Mhm.
even if Jordan Travis was healthy right now, I don't think he's letting himself get benched for Jordan Travis. Unless you say to him, or Woody Johnson, whoever, says to him, or Woody Johnson's 17-year-old son says, listen, I like this second round draft pick
Mhm.
that we spent some money on. He looks pretty good. I watched him in college. I don't think it's going to be. Aaron Rodgers is the type of guy, to me, from what we've seen, he's not going to get benched. And to some extent, nor should he. It's a valid point for a rookie 4th round pick, a rookie 5th round
Mhm.
pick, a premium pick that you say, hey, we're investing the future in this, and this is why we're going to do that. That's why I don't really love any quarterback in this class either, but it's the idea of and I like the Green Bay mentality of you just keep drafting until you find it, and that doesn't preclude the team from 2026 taking a quarterback in the 1st round.
Milroe to me is the one that's like intriguing. I don't love him as like a thrower right now, but man, he's just so lethal with his legs. Like at the bare minimum, you could just have him run around and like do stuff. Like, I don't know, but I feel like I don't want to trade up for him because again, I don't want to take him in the 1st round. I think he is going to go in the 1st round, or at least one of the few teams in front of us, like, Cleveland or the Titans or, whatever team sitting there in front of us. I don't know. I feel like you could see a good amount of Jordan Travis in the preseason next year because I don't think Rodgers is going to play a whole lot in the preseason if he does play at all next year, if we do run it back. And that tells me at the very least, like, okay, you like what you see in Jordan Travis. So it's not that he was a 4th or 5th round pick last year. It's, okay, he's an NFL quarterback and he looked good against other NFL players, even though it's just the preseason. Let's see what we've got in a losing season at the end of next year and see if he can be someone before we waste a premium asset on a quarterback at the top of next year's draft. And I do think if you punt on the quarterback for this year and you bolster the rest of the roster, I'm more inclined to like give up a lot of assets to go get the quarterback we want. Like Arch Manning's going to cost us 3 first-round picks, or quarterback 2 is going to cost us 2-3 first-round picks. Like, fine, whatever it is, just go up and get the guy like that you need to go get. I don't know if it's that's what it's going to be. Maybe you can package players together or something like that. But
No.
sort of my thought process.
You've got to take a shot. Like, I mean, what's 2-3 years at this point? Like, you're going to
Mhm.
probably, even if you use 2 or 3 years worth of first round picks, if you have a young quarterback, that's basically, you're going to give them a 2-3 year period anyhow. So you can
Mhm.
bring in, you've seen trades
Mhm.
for solid receivers, veteran receivers that are, just in a contract year. So I don't know. We'll see. Ryan, pleasure. Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas to you as well, Nick. Cheers to you and
Chat.
yours. Boom! You've been ejected from the cockpit. We've got Anthony joining the stream. I just want to go. I had a super chat that I did not acknowledge, so I want to get to that real quick. Let me just find it. Jay Taylor, thank you for the super chat. It says, love the weekly. I'm done. See you guys on Sunday. Jay Taylor comes in with the, I'm so done with this team. All right, I'll see you Sunday, guys. I love it. Thank you so much for the super chat. Jacob, thank you for the super chat right now. Real fast. Boom, up on the screen. It says, it's been a tough season, but I think something commonly lost amongst league chatter is this team has a lot of talent. It has been horribly misused, but we've got players. New leadership will help. Yeah, I do think I think from what we've heard is that the Jets are seen as an attractive location because of the talent on the roster right now. Like, even though Garrett Wilson might be upset that Rodgers is the quarterback and he's not thrilled with his situation right now, he's still on the roster under team control for the next 3 years. Sauce Gardner under team control for at least the next 2 if you use a franchise tag on Garrett. Whatever. Breece Hall going to be back here next year. You've got Braylon Allen. You've got like JJ coming back from injury. There is a lot of talent on this team. The offensive line is pretty well set up. If you could bring in like a Morgan Moses back on a 1-year deal, or if Vrabel comes in and you want to bring Jedrick Wills from the Browns as your stopgap, kind of 1-year competition with Moses while also being a young enough guy to not have to waste a draft pick on swing, I'm down with that. I think that's a good way to go about it. I think there are going to be people that look at this team and they say, okay, look, we're a laughingstock. But the people that know football will look at this team and say, all right, Woody Johnson has at least given most of the GMs here, most of the head coaches here, time to get it right. I think Saleh was let go early because of the timeline of Rodgers, the way the contract was working, the way this was all sort of set up. He also had his opportunity with Zach Wilson. It didn't work out. His second crack was with Rodgers, and you just had to pull the plug at an accelerated rate, as opposed to having I don't know, a quarterback in here and you're like, all right, well, we got Sanchez. It didn't work out. And then Rex is still the guy. We're going to take Geno Smith. And then, it just didn't work out and whatever. I think this team has a lot of talent. It's not an ideal situation, but I think it is a good situation. So I agree with you there, Jacob. Merry Christmas to you and yours. All right, let's go over to Anthony, see what Anthony has to say. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? It's been a while.
How you feeling about our Jets? What do you think about Rodgers? You want to bring him back? You don't want to bring him back? What do you think the answer is at quarterback?
Man, it's been a frustrating season, but I think I would running back, especially like his recent interviews. He's been saying he wants to coach help mentor a QB. That sounds really good. Now, the only thing is I'm looking at the QBs, and I'm like, who do we want except for Shedeur and Ward, and we're probably not gonna get them. There's so many teams in front of us that need a quarterback, and we're always doing this thing where we win 1 or 2 extra games for nothing, and then we're instead of drafting top 5, we're drafting all the way back in the 10s, and we're just like, okay, well, we'll best player available, and then we miss out on a high level quarterback again.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about maybe the idea of trading for J.J. McCarthy. Let's say Sam Darnold gets signed to a 3-year, $150 million contract or something along those lines, and J.J. becomes available for trade. Would you be interested in making the trade for J.J., knowing you have years 2, 3, 4, and his 5th-year option, and he's already had 1 year, not just kind of holding the clipboard, obviously not playing because of the injury? Would you be interested in that route as opposed to maybe drafting a quarterback this year, say in the 2nd round?
I think JJ would actually be one of the better quarterbacks in this draft ranking, right?
I
He'd
agree.
probably be number 2 behind Shadur. Shadur looks really good. Like he's
Yeah.
really, I like his poise. And JJ, I think what Harbaugh's always said, like he's like a sponge, right? And I think if ever we do get someone like Vrabel, he'd be the perfect quarterback, right? Because when JJ was in Michigan, he didn't do a lot of throws, but when he had to do a throw, it was always like the perfect throw, and it was always on point. It was always clutch, and it was always a run first offense, right? He didn't have to do much in Michigan, right?
Sure.
So I think he'd be like the perfect quarterback if ever we do get someone like Vrabel who wants to like run it, punch, like play physical, and have the quarterback just do at least the least mistakes they need. And he's played in big games too, so I mean it's always good. I think the one thing that we always do here in New York, like we always draft a quarterback and then he plays like shit for like the first couple of games. And, okay, like he's trash, and then we just give up on him, and then it's done, right? I mean, look at Darnold and Smith, Gino right now, right?
Yep.
They're playing so good, and I'm like, well, we actually had them. We just didn't give them enough time. We didn't have we didn't have a coaching staff. We didn't have like a offensive scheme. Like we didn't have the whole thing that they have right now, right? Like Darnold was, and when he went to the Panthers, he was still trash.
They were terrible. I mean, even San Francisco, he wasn't very good.
He was fine. I mean, he didn't play that much, but he was still
yeah.
like fine. Like Shanahan liked him for a reason, right? And then O'Connell's offense is pretty much the same as Shanahan's almost. So it's like this. He just fit the system, and we just didn't have that system. And then
so you like
watch
Vrabel, McCown, JJ, and we trade say the 10th pick, and we get back the Vikings 28th pick or something like that for JJ. You think that's an all right swap?
I do that in a heartbeat, but I mean, quarterback is so expensive that the Vikings will probably be like, we drafted him like 11th, I think. Like
they
just
drafted
give
him
us
11th.
10th pick. It's
we get one less year
right?
of him.
It's like if we drafted him on 11th last year, so it's like it's kind of fair.
But we get an injured quarterback on a one less year deal.
Yeah, but quarterbacks, they always go for a lot, right? So I mean, it's not like who was the last one, like Rosen, who was drafted like 10th or something like that. But then he played like trash, right? But JJ, we don't know. We don't know who he is. Like we don't know what he is.
I love the idea of trading down, getting JJ, and then with that later first round pick, getting like Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Now
but that feels like playing Madden, right? It's like
it does.
Like
we are playing Madden. Have you not watched the tabloids? Have you not watched tabloids, Anthony? Brick's playing Madden. This is just billionaire Madden right now. Moving little chess pieces around.
Yeah, I mean,
who do you want as coach? Is it Vrabel?
Madden, so like it's pretty much the same thing, right?
Do you think Vrabel's the coach next year, or do you think we get someone else?
I hope so. We should have pulled the trigger last year. Well, this year actually, we should have done it. Once he was free. Like, sorry, Salah, bye. Like, Salah was not. He was a good guy. He was a good speaker. He was a good defensive coach. But at some point, like, we have to realize, like, some coaches are better coordinators, and he was just horrible at like game time decisions, and also like at some point, whatever he was saying, it just felt fake. Like it felt like he always needed to do like that big speech instead of being like natural. Like. I don't know.
I completely agree with that. I think if we had Rodgers for last year and we didn't have the injury, we would have seen some of this play out, and we probably would have moved off of him a year earlier. I think that was part of the issue of Rodgers getting hurt last year, was not being able to make a clear, definitive answer on Salah.
Yeah, and the annoying part is that right now, like the offense is starting to look better, right? Like we're having these 99-yard drives, like we're scoring touchdowns on the first drive now, but. Like it feels like if Rodgers didn't get injured last year, like this year would have probably been like our Manning year, right? Because Peyton Manning did the same thing. First year he like installed a system, make sure everything's fine, and the second year we're on. Hopefully that's what I'm hoping for next year, is that Rodgers' second year he has chemistry with, like, hopefully keep Devontae. I don't know how much that's going to cost because.
How do you reconcile the feelings of Garrett right now and prevent him from like wanting out? Or do you just say like, okay, hey, look, we know you want out. We're not trading you. And just is what it is. And you're staying on this team for a year, and we'll, revisit it next year.
So I mean, if we get Devontae back, right?
Mm.
Let's say now hypothetically, let's say we do trade Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get two
Houston
first-round
for
picks
2 firsts?
back?
I think
Yeah,
Houston would,
we'll
because
probably get
I
two
don't.
first. So then we can look at.
I don't know
maybe,
what Tank
can we
Dell's
replace
injury
Wilson?
ultimately was, but I think he'll go to the Texans for 2 firsts
Yeah.
right now if we want.
Because like if we can replace Wilson, like if there's a wide receiver in the draft, then it would also solve our long-term issue, right? Because we're gonna have to sign Jermaine, Wilson, Sauce, Hall, Brees, like all of these guys we're gonna have to re-sign back. So get a younger, like re-sign Devontae 1 year, get a new Garrett Wilson with a new 5-year contract, rookie 5-year contract. And then maybe get an extra pick also. If we get 2 first-round picks, I mean, it really depends, right? Like
we could get
'cause
D.
if
Milner
next year
and
he plays
fucking
well-
Quentin Coples. D.
Huh?
Milner and Quentin Coples. That might be our first round picks when we trade away Garrett Wilson. A bird in the hand versus 2 in the bush.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true, but like you never know, right? You never know. Like even Wilson, Garrett could have been shit also, but he's really
true.
good.
But we gave up
like-
Jamal Adams to take the swing at Garrett Wilson. Like, if you tell me I could give up someone of Jamal Adams' like worthiness towards a team, like if we had a player, let's say, I like Quincy Williams, but let's say Quincy Williams.
Jamal before trading him, he was really good. Like he was like probably the top safety like back then. And then when we traded him,
good
obviously he didn't fit the
safety,
system.
but like he was more of a liability because he was terrible in coverage. And if you have him around the line of scrimmage, I almost feel like you have to like play him as an edge rusher and still keep a safety in there. Like it's by playing him out of position, it was sort of like I don't know. I felt like it was worth it to trade him for 2 firsts. I don't think trading Garrett for 2 firsts is like something I want to do.
Well, Garrett will be honestly he'd be more valuable, but like teams don't trade away like 3 first-round picks, right? Nowadays,
No.
Even 2.
I feel like 2 firsts
what's
might
the
be a
last
lot
trade
to
that they
try and
traded
get
to?
for him too.
Yeah.
Like that might
And,
be like
like,
I don't think
what
we're getting the
team-
Jamal Adams trade.
No, and then what team will want to trade for him? A playoff team that the pick is probably going to be late 20s, right? Like
Well, that's what Seattle was supposed to be. It wound up being the 10th pick. We just got lucky. That was
exactly.
hopefully the Texans, CJ Stroud pops an ACL for a year or something like that, and then you get a top 5 pick. But like
that's bad juju, man. Don't say that.
I know. I'm not wishing for
had that
for
happen
that.
to
I
us last
think
year.
the Texans are probably the most likely team for him to get traded to, and I think they're going to be good for a while. So I think we're going to get bad draft picks if we go that route, and that would be frustrating to pass on Garrett for that.
Like
But
I wouldn't. But if Garrett just like starts, he doesn't want to be here anymore. Like I think that we can understand him. We've been such a bad.
I don't want to be here. If the Jets move to London, that's a get out of jail free card for all his Jet fans. Be like, all right, cool, bye bye.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Exactly.
If I could launch Woody Johnson into the sun, I would do it. I'd hit the button.
Dude, like this off season is going to be so scary because like even if we don't re-sign Rodgers, like his cap hit is going to be so big if we really release him because it's still there if I'm not mistaken, right? So it's like still like
it's like 49 million, I think, and then if he plays
Exactly.
next
So, like,
year,
we
it's
cut him, we can't do
63.
stuff.
But I think
Anything?
you split it over 2 years if you do it. If he plays one more year, I think you'd have to split it over 2 years.
I mean, he did say today that he might take a pay cut, so that might help again. But how much can you actually do another pay cut, right?
I mean, even if you ate $10 million off his salary, it still would mean like a dead cap hit of like 53 million instead of 63 million. Like it's still like not super great either way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so torn on this. I could really go either way on it. I lean towards wanting Rodgers back because I want to see this core stay together. It perplexes me that Garrett doesn't want to be on a team with Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, because trying to go to any other team is just going to be, I mean, I guess only a team with a good quarterback would be trading for him, but I don't know. It's interesting to see frustrations from a wide receiver when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, even though the ball's going the opposite direction.
It's going to be scary next year. Like if we're bad next year again, then Garrett's going to want to leave. Like Sauce probably everybody's going to want to leave because everybody's going to be on the last year of their contract. The good players, like our core players.
Yeah,
like
I think Brees is gone.
After next year, we might be done again. Like we don't even know what we're going to do, right?
So maybe you get that Band-Aid in place for a year. Would you be all right with like Justin Fields for a season? Like let's say we go Fields, Tyrod, and Travis, and we try to look towards the 2026 draft for a quarterback. Do you think Fields makes Garrett happy enough that he played with him in college, or do you think the quarterback play is not good enough and Garrett would be frustrated with that?
I think we need the coach. Like Fields could be good. He's still young. He like watched him play a couple times, and he looks good, and then he doesn't. But I think he just needs to be coached. Like he's also a guy that's always been badly coached, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if we could take a flyer on someone like him and transform him into and have us make him become that Geno Smith or that Sam Darnold, that'd be good. But again, it's all system. And
is it Daboll? Is it Josh McDaniels? Like I don't know who Vrabel's OC would be, but I feel like either one of those two guys would be kind of in line with Fields' play style. Like obviously you had McDaniels draft Tim Tebow back in the day with Denver. You have Daboll, who had success with Fields. You know, does Daboll have any connections with Alabama still? You know, I know Saban's obviously no longer there, but does he have any connections to Alabama? How does he feel on Milroe? I don't know. Does he even get fired? I don't know if he gets fired. I feel like he might.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Jordan Travis. That's still interesting. Like, we don't know who the hell he is, but, like,
That's why I think they might punt on a quarterback this year. At least drafting one. I think they might punt to just sort of, like, give us a holding pattern year.
I mean, Jordan Travis could be interesting, man, because, like, he was, like, probably, like, going to be a second to third round if he didn't get injured. I mean, he was the guy at Florida State, right? Like, if he didn't go down, like, they would have been in the college football playoffs, right? He went down. The team was literally, like, garbage. So he was a game.
They didn't even put him in the playoffs. They're like, nope, he's worth more than, like, the next team's loss. Like,
they were undefeated. And they were. I think they were undefeated, and they would have been like against an unranked team. They were like, "Yeah, no, like you're gone."
Yep, done.
And that's one player, right? So, I mean, could he be that, like, not like Purdy, like we could maybe get? But
be nice.
Then do we want to draft a quarterback next year, right? And then there's no one interesting next year. That's the problem. Like
well, next year there's plenty of interesting. There could be Arch Manning. There could be. It could be Arch Manning next year. It could be Alar next year. It could be the kid from Tennessee next year. Like, there's definitely some interesting options. I think the kid from Oregon comes out next year. Like, it definitely preemptively looks like good.
Run it back, draft another O-line, have Rodgers protected even more, or a D tackle, because we definitely need D tackle. And then maybe if we suck, then hopefully we suck enough to get Arch Manning next year, which probably won't happen. We're probably gonna win 4 to 5 games again and draft number 10.
Picking 10 through 12 next year. We've seen how this plays out. We know how it goes.
Yeah.
Anthony, any last words before I eject you?
Hey man, happy holidays, Jets fans.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Boom! You've been ejected from the cockpit. All right, we'll get into more of your calls in just a second. But before we do, I do want to acknowledge the sponsor of the channel. If I can find it real quick, this is how this is going to go. Let's see. All right. Look at these results. People are making free money betting on sports. Making thousands every month. The secret, they're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app. It's turning the entire system in your favor. Here's how. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds differences across sportsbooks. You bet both sides. No matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. You put $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent, San Francisco, on DraftKings. You're guaranteed to make $50 win or lose. It's that simple. With OddsJam mobile app, you'll get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands monthly. And to get you started, use code JETSTALK for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during the trial. And if you don't, cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to oddsjam.com, use code JETSTALK, and start making money the smart way. Boys and girls, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit that like button if you are enjoying the stream. Get to more of your comments in the chat in just a minute. We're going to go over to Pooch Guy. Let's see what Pooch Guy has to say. What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up? What's up, Brian? Real quick, how can Ulbrich not have any clarification on Fashano's injury? I've been up refreshing Twitter day in, day out. Like, have a pit in my stomach that it's gonna. Oh, actually, it was the big A word, and it's like, come on, man! Like this 2025, soon to be 2025. Just figure this out. Tell us it's a broken foot. I can sleep well.
I feel like I don't know how they don't know yet. Like he would have gone in for testing yesterday, right? Like he was already in
Yeah.
New York. It's not like it was a late game or anything. Like you could have got him in. I'm afraid. I'm afraid it's the Achilles and we just don't see him for next year or for a large portion of it. Big weight puts a lot of weight back onto his Achilles. We saw AVT kind of struggle a little bit with that early on in the season. Or at least maybe seem to shake off some of the rust. I hope to God it's just a broken foot or something like stupid sprain or bruised foot or hell, I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming because even Dick Chimney said it was. He confirmed it wasn't an Achilles, just a foot, and he's unfortunately pretty linked in. But like, just I need some clarification.
Make me sleep better at night for the love of. Ugh. What are you doing next year for quarterback? We running it back with Rodgers. You drafting someone, you trading for someone, you punt until next year. What's the best route?
So, I think if he's actually willing to take like even a bigger pay cut, I think he's your best option of bridge quarterbacks. And I think if you're able to bring in someone like Vrabel, there is no like Rodgers will not push him around, and it's his show, and Rodgers is just along for the ride. As opposed to if you brought in like the OC from the Bills. I can feel like Rodgers could kind of like take control over a first time guy.
So
I
agree. I think there's a strong personality with Vrabel.
But
I was gonna say I think there's a strong personality with Vrabel, so you're able to have that same exact, hey, this is my team. It's the same thing. Even if Rodgers isn't here, I think Vrabel's strong enough to stand up to Woody, be like, hey, Woody, no kids in the locker room, no one else in the locker room. It's my players. That's it.
Absolutely, and like Woody, you want to win back this fan base right now? Like just a sliver. Offer Garrett, extend him now. Give us something this year.
I would love to see it happen. I don't know if we're going to see an extension for Garrett. I feel like any GM coming in is going to say, hey, guys, you got to earn your salt for a year. And then we'll renegotiate all first-round picks after year 4. And then, because like if you renegotiate Garrett, then you get the whole. I don't think JJ is going to be asking for a contract, but I think you'll get Sauce like, all right, it's time for me as well, and it sort of ripple effects it down. Then eventually Olu, when he's in his 3rd year, well, it's time for my contract, and it's like,
right?
Do you open Pandora's box by extending Garrett early?
Yeah, I hear you, but I think Garrett is kind of a unicorn, and in the circumstances we're in, I would give Garrett pretty much the IU contract plus a couple million to make him happy. Then fifth yearing Sauce, letting JJ play this year with. Let's see how he comes back on the Achilles, and if he bounces back, then we can talk about it. And then I'm franchising Brees, and then try to see what you can do.
I think that's an interesting scenario because like I'm not even sold on franchising Brees right now. I guess it depends what that number is. If it's like $12 million, I think the franchise tag for running backs is like actually really low. I guess I could get behind it. If Allen looks like legit, then I don't mind trying to get a comp pick for Brees or even flipping him in season. Like if we're like not looking great next season and someone is willing to give us a 3rd round pick for Brees in the 2026 draft instead of having to wait till like the 2027 draft for the comp pick, I'd probably be all right and open to doing that.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of moving parts. Like if Rodgers does take a big pay cut, and if Adams is willing to play ball to stay with Rodgers, take a bigger pay cut, and someone like I would hope Vrabel is able to be like, Rodgers, that's enough of this buddy ball bullshit. Garrett's wide open, get the first down.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're gonna ship Garrett off, or we're gonna ship Devontae off. No more buddy ball. I don't want to see that. Yeah. I want Devontae back. Honestly, I think Rodgers and Devontae is like the best situation for us to try and win games next year. I just don't know if their not Devontae's personality, but Aaron's personality in particular is like too abrasive. You need someone to overpower that personality, I think.
Yeah, it was outrageous. Like that jump ball on 4th down to the end zone just to get like a glorified
Garrett's wide open crossing.
Yeah,
like
what are we
first down,
doing?
just get it.
Yeah, and it's just like it's not all about the glory. Like Rodgers, that 500 touchdown, if it goes to Malachi Corley, you're still going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And like Devontae Adams is going to be fine if he doesn't catch it. I'm sick of that.
I feel like that's Ulbrich and like the coaching staff just saying like, hey, Aaron, you do whatever you want to do. You want to get to Devontae, season's lost, go have your fun. Like that's probably how it went. And just like Garrett be damned. Like, I don't know. Shitty. I don't think we have leadership on our coaching staff like at all.
No. And there's no one willing to like, I would love to see Garrett get in Rodgers' face on that.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to see a little bit of like fire. And then then I think it almost makes the decision of like, okay, one of these two is gone and Garrett would be the one we want to keep long term.
Yeah, 1,000%. I'll take Jackson Dart and Garrett over Rodgers and no Garrett.
Yes, 100%. I think Garrett's got to be the long term receiver here. How long have we been searching for like a good wide receiver, and we get one that's like probably the most skilled wide receiver we've ever drafted. Last one would have been maybe a Santana Moss or Coles, flash in the pan kind of. And then Keyshawn back in like the late 90s was like the only player that would sort of contend from a skill set perspective.
1,000%. And like Garrett, Jake Asman always says, like if Garrett Wilson plays here his whole career, he's the most decorated receiver of all time for Jets.
100%. I don't think it's even close.
As much as we all love Sauce, chances are he's never really going to touch Revis' stature, at least like amongst the fan base. So like,
yeah.
I would rather if the new GM had to move one of these top guys, I'm moving Sauce before I move Garrett.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Sauce I think you'd almost be selling a little low on Sauce right now. I feel like he's lost some of his like.
Had to go.
Yes, if one had to go, I think Sauce would be the one I'd prefer to trade because of the lack of impact he's had from a turnover perspective, where Garrett Wilson can create those explosive plays and get you the touchdowns. That like with Sauce, you just throw the opposite direction. Like that was always got me with Revis too. Like as much as I love Revis, the best game plan for Revis was to not throw at Revis and to go the opposite direction. It drove me bananas.
Right, but at least he traveled with the other guy.
Correct. Yeah, at least that you eliminated the top wide receiver. I feel like receivers just got so good. The number 2 option is still like lethal on most teams.
But
like I don't know.
And the thing with Sauce is like I don't see that like that Quincy Williams and like Garrett on the offense. Like I don't see that like you deserve the C. Like he's coming in and out of these games. Yeah. What do you say? Like I wasn't really in the right mindset in the beginning of the season, and it's like what are you talking about?
Maybe he's just being like a little too honest. Like I don't think Sauce is a bad dude. Like I think he tries and I think he wants to. I think like when he says stuff like that, I almost feel like, okay, I don't want to hear it, but like I don't necessarily think less of you. If that's that's weird to say that, but
I just think he's a smidge soft.
I think that's fair. Especially the way he tackles, like too. Like there's definitely been some like pussyfooting around.
And I think if you could, again, like big Sauce guy, like I think he's also a unicorn. But if you could move him, and I love DJ Reed's tenacity, and he like it at least looks like he cares.
Re-sign Reed is what you're saying. Maybe re-sign Eccles, trade Sauce. Like there's just like, I guess it's a good problem to have so many good players that other teams might want. But like, I hate the idea of trading like good talent. I don't want to trade them for raffle tickets.
It hurts.
Pooch guy.
And then what
else you got for me? Yes.
44.
Sherwood.
Why am I blanking on his name?
Sherwood
has to come back. Has to.
I agree. The guys I would like to bring back for next year: Sherwood, Moses, and Eccles. Those are the 3 guys I'd like to see the Jets retain. I think there's a really good likelihood wherever Robert Saleh ends up is where DJ Reed ends up, and I think Sherwood may follow suit. It depends how close they were, and if Saleh does want to get back into being a defensive coordinator and whatnot. I could see Eccles staying in New York but playing for the Giants next year. Like that's the I guess the downside that we don't always talk about is when you lose a head coach who's a defensive guy, they're more than likely going to steal some of the defensive talent that you have. Yeah, I don't know. I agree though. Sherwood, Eccles, Moses. Pooch guy, you have a very Merry Christmas to you and yours.
You too.
Boom! You have been ejected from the cockpit. Boys and girls, always a lot of fun talking to you. going to go to the chat for the last little bit here. We'll go for, let's go another 15 minutes or so. We'll take it to an hour and a half, and then we will call it a night. Getting tired. Got some Christmas Eve things planned. Let's see. Let me just click off of my call-in thing. And I should probably take the pinned comment down. I don't know if I can take the pinned comment down from this view. Probably not. All right. I'm just going to leave that up and people can deal with it. All right. Let's see. What are we talking about in the chat? Guys just yelling at each other. Wally says, Ryan, you can't hold a player hostage. Damn right I can. He's under contract for 2 years. I'll hold Garrett Wilson hostage all I want. Say, sorry, dude. We're not trading you. Like, if my ass is Vrabel coming in here, I go up to Garrett first and foremost. Before I talk to the quarterback, before I talk to, like, anyone else, I'm calling Garrett on the phone. Say, hey, Garrett, this is Coach Vrabel. Yeah, I'm going to be your head coach. When I was in Tennessee, I was forced to get rid of A.J. Brown. I want you to know it's not happening. You're not getting traded. Like, I'm not getting rid of a good wide receiver. So you're here long term. What do we do to keep you? Is it the contract? Is it a quarterback? Whatever it is, you're staying on this team. We'll figure it out. You know what? Rodgers coming back another year. Fucking deal with it for one more year. You're still not getting traded. His ass is out. You're part of the long-term future. Or maybe Rodgers is out and we say, hey, we're bringing in Justin Fields for a year. And we're going to have Justin Fields and Travis and Tyrod all compete. Or you're going to trade and get J.J. McCarthy. There's a few different routes the Jets could go. I'm not sold on any one particular one, but you're damn right I could hold a player hostage. Garrett's the type of player I would. Clamor. In fact, you could argue he already has the greatest season for a quarterback. Talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. It's hard for me not to think Fitz is the top quarterback season that I've ever watched because there was so much hope and promise in that season. And then Rex just fucking crushed us at the end. Like this year, we never like really stood a shot with Rodgers. And I feel like he compiled a lot of shit later on. So even though statistically, like his interceptions, I don't know where Fitz ranked as far as interceptions in that year where he had 30 touchdowns, but it feels like he probably had more interceptions. We just had a lot more success. And I like that team. That was a fun team to root for. This team, like, I feel like a lot of people don't like this team right now. They're very unlikable, Rodgers and whatnot. JV says, oh my God, I can't take it. No way they trade JJ. They may not. I mean, I think if you sign Sam for 3 years and you have JJ sitting for 4, that's kind of a tall task. I mean, I guess maybe you build in contingencies. I don't know. If you can get a top 10 pick for JJ right now, or you trade up from 28 to go all the way up and Sam's your guy, I could definitely see them doing it. Adrian, the Jets get the right coach and go back to the run zone option and they will be golden. Yeah, I felt like Brees definitely played better in that type of blocking scheme. Michael Floor was a good OC. The Jets didn't give him a chance and ran him out. I think the issue with him was more so that we lost Greg Knapp and he was tasked then with grooming Zach Wilson. It just did not work out. I thought from an offensive schematic standpoint, he's our best offensive coordinator that we've had in a long time. Probably since, was it John Morton? I think it was John Morton was the guy we had under Bowles for one season. All his failure is on Woody Johnson. No, it's all on Brick Johnson, says Jimmy Jets. Just makes me want to cry. Tony saying, did you see Klubnik shred the number 1 pass defense in the country? He is a true franchise quarterback. I'll have to watch more of them. I have not watched anything. I'll be honest. I've been looking at like the top end guys and just haven't had enough daylight to do it. What's up, Uncle Larry? He says, I think run it back with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Just get rid of his buddy Lazard with hands of stone. There is no quarterback worthy. First round pick this year. What about Cricket or Crochet or whatever his name is. Cratchit, Cricket. I don't know who you're talking about. Uncle Larry, I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, look, I don't think Lazard's here next year. I think they cut him. Rodgers is probably our best option from a skill standpoint for quarterback for next season. Tony saying, who says Garrett Wilson is disgruntled? He hates losing. He also has his eyes on college quarterbacks who can make him win. Logic says he wants to win here. Yeah, I mean, we saw the post with him and Olu and Alar kind of going back and forth, JETS. And, if Alar's the guy that gets Garrett excited and happy, go trade for him in 2026. I'm all about it. Albin says Fields is trash. Yeah, but if you're gonna punt on Rodgers and you're just gonna run it back with Tyrod and Travis, like why not try to get Garrett Wilson happy by having his college quarterback? Like if that's something that isn't gonna cost you a whole heck of a lot for 1 year, and it's essentially just having Jordan Travis and Tyrod Taylor like a different equivalent with better leadership skills, like I fail to see where that's a bad option. Jets are a laughingstock of professional sports. They suck. We do. It is. Sell the team, Woody. Would love him to. Fields has been in the league 4 years. He's wasted time. You need a strong-armed, accurate pocket passer in New York. I think you can have a running-style quarterback in New York as well. I don't think there's any reason why you can't have someone that maybe is a little rusty or a little not so polished at the throwing aspect if you can lean on his legs a little bit more. I feel like, it has worked with Allen. It took him a few years before I think he was deemed a really good passer, or maybe not a reckless passer. I don't know. And I think Milrow's probably too raw. He's exciting to watch. I don't know. I understand Fields not being the guy, but if you need a leadership kind of change for a year until you get your next young quarterback for next year, Fields on a short 1 year deal with Travis and Tyrod is like not a terrible outcome for me. Albert says Arch isn't coming out next year. The guy hasn't even played a full season in college yet. Yeah, I think he's more than likely coming out in 2027. He's just draft eligible next year. Garrett is using negotiation tactics. I hope so. I mean, I feel like I've been watching his body language for the last year or so, and it seems like it's not great. Like, it seems like he very much would like to be out of here. Don't pay players until a coach comes in and evaluates to see if the players fit his new scheme. That's sort of what I was saying with, like, the new GM and new head coach coming in and say, hey, look, we're going to give everyone another year. And then, after 4th year, let's start talking contract. Garrett, we want you here long term. Sauce, we think we want you here long term. We're gonna have an evaluation year, and then we're gonna see who's earned their contract at the end of the season. If you want to sign a contract early, it's got to be incentive based. There's got to be a team benefit to signing you earlier to this type of deal. We'll give you the escalation to where you want to be paid, but you have to perform to that level to get to there. That's what I would like to see the Jets and some of these other teams do. Like, why wait until the 4th year when you're not getting the benefit of extending them early? Like, think about guys getting contracts right now. The top end receivers are getting like $35 million a year. If Garrett Wilson is going to get somewhere between $30 and $35 million a year, if you wait 1 extra year, is it really worth paying him the extra, if he's on a 4-year contract, extra $20 million? Or can you sign him right now for a $5 million, cut per year? I don't know. I'd like to, I want to see the benefit of extending players. I understand, though. I'm okay with waiting a season. Sosa. Jets fans have a disease of constant rebuild. This team needs to just run it back and have chemistry with a new coach. I think Vrabel comes in and just sets the ship right. I really do. Jimmy Beef. Rodgers is 41, injured, and a clubhouse cancer. Yeah, bring him back. The cancer part is the part that kind of gets me. Like, I don't feel like all the players love him the way I want them to love him. Like, he's playing well for a quarterback, but it doesn't feel like the players around him are having fun. JD, Debo demanded a trade. Ayuk demanded a trade. Shamar Chase, all those guys are still playing on their teams. Why are we acting like Garrett has all this power? It's true. I feel like Garrett is such a valuable trade chip to a rebuild that his request for a trade might coincide with the new GM's want to build it his way. Not so much that he's not as valuable as Debo or as Ayuk. A.J. Brown got off his team. You saw DK Metcalf, he got his money. You saw, who else am I forgetting here? There's a few different guys that got paid, didn't wind up leaving. So hopefully it's just a negotiation tactic. J-Mo! Can Uncle Steve Cohen buy the team? That would be great. Heck, I would even say Jeff Bezos, one of you billionaire guys. Just throw the bank at Woody. Tell him you're buying him a football team over in London. He'll be tickled pink. Won't even realize it's a soccer team. Spent 4 years over there, probably didn't learn a thing. I'd love to see. If we had Bezos buy the fucking team, we'd have the most beautiful fucking stadium. You'd have drones fucking flying. It's probably like the Amazon drones that we're seeing all over Jersey. It's going to be like those things flying in, pew, here's your food in section 1200 or whatever. Guy can dream, right? Our stadium blows. Ooh, sorry. Boys and girls, before we round that out, I just want to acknowledge our sponsor one more time, BetUS. Get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Jets have 2 games left. How many games will the Jets win? Jets have Bills, who may not be playing for anything. They may be locked into the 2 seed with the Chiefs potentially winning on Christmas Day. So do the Jets capture a win on Week 17? And do we beat the Finns in MetLife? The final week of the season in January. I think we get at least one more win. I think we'll wind up picking somewhere between that 10 and 12 spot, realistically. Jets sitting at number 8 right now. We'll see where it goes. All right, I'll go through a few more comments in here. Let's see where we're at. Billy Boy, are you Belly Chick disciple? Oh, man. You guys, I appreciate you coming in here. Doesn't work like that. He's going to hang up the phone. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to anymore because I lost my train of thought, and that's all right. So it says, if we trade Sauce, he's going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah, 2-time All-Pro. I don't want to trade anyone. I would not trade any of our young players until halfway through next year. And the only player I'm really considering trading halfway through next year would be Brees. And that's if we could get a draft pick for the 2026 draft. I would not trade anyone yet. Bino. If Vrabel is the next coach, Sherwood isn't big enough to play linebacker in his D. In my opinion, he's a Saleh Ulbrich scheme-specific linebacker. I do think he's more than likely to follow Saleh wherever Saleh ends up. Robert, I got a chance to bump into you right before the Jets slaughtered the Pats Week 3. It was a pleasure to meet you then, and what a game it was. Too bad how things turned out since then. Robert, if you were... Sorry. I'm coughing right now. Were you the guy I bumped into in the hallway that had the really funny jersey on? If that's the case, I think that's really funny. If not, I'm glad I got to meet you. Dude, when we beat the Patriots Week 3, I was like, this is the team. We're going on a roll. This is happening. We're about to start just fucking steamrolling dudes. And we're going to get Devontae, partway through the season. It's going to be great. And then just fucking downhill ever since. So it was a pleasure meeting you. Hopefully we meet again during equally as good circumstances for that week and better circumstances for future weeks. Jets equal poor coaching, poor special teams, poor quarterback play, poor leadership, shitty defense, and piss poor attitude. Yep. Yeah. No, I'm not even gonna. I don't think I can question anything on that. That is accurate. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to hit the little triple dot thing to the right and block Jimmy Beef. Oh, it is what it is. Hey, block who you want. It's okay. Jeffrey blocked him too. Jimmy Beef, look, I don't mind you being in here. It's all right. RJ McPott, convince me JJ McCarthy ain't Michigan Zach Wilson. I can't. I don't know enough about quarterback evaluations, but I would say based on how Kevin O'Connell handled Sam Darnold, I would venture to guess he knows quarterback evaluations, and him trading up to go get him, to me, says it's probably worth a shot. Jeffrey says, I don't take any less than 3 firsts for Garrett. Yeah, like 2 firsts for me is like the bare minimum, and I don't even know if I'm moving him for 2 firsts because I don't think we're going to get a player as good as Garrett for 2 firsts. I really don't. The benefit to getting 2 firsts for Garrett would be to use those firsts to go get your quarterback next year. But even then, I would rather give up way more future first, way more future firsts, and keep Garrett. Like I would rather not have the 2027 and 28 firsts if it means going up and getting our guy. Still have our second round picks, still have all our other picks. I'd rather keep Garrett. Garrett is not a money problem, it's a winning problem. Yeah, we just got to start winning. Aaron Rodgers is going to get over 4,000 yards? Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably going to hit it. You're talking about an estimated team worth of $7.35 billion. Yeah. Bezos has, $126 billion? Shit's pocket change. Pocket change. If Garrett leaves, Woody better sell the team because we all coming after him. Billionaire shaking in the boots right now. Guaranteed top 10. Our draft pick, you mean? I think it'll be close. Merry Christmas, Adrian. Trade Corley for a sandwich. I don't understand why Corley is not returning kicks for us right now. Like, there's no part of Deshaun Gibson that I'm like, let's see more. Like, let's just keep running it out there. Keep trotting him out. Doesn't make sense to me. Oh, Wild Wave says, I was talking about Garrett. He's going to hang up the phone on Vrabel. As I stated, it's not a money problem. It's a winning problem. He can't hold someone hostage. You can hold someone hostage when you own their rights. So you own Garrett Wilson's rights for the next 2 years plus franchise tags. If Vrabel comes in here, he says, Garrett, I'm not trading you. I was forced to trade away a receiver on the Titans. It's not happening again. We're going to flip this around. We're going to start winning. All that bullshit you dealt with, all that terrible coaching, forget about it. This changes now. That would be the correct way to handle the Garrett Wilson situation. Kev says, we'd be pissed off like Garrett after watching Aaron Rodgers pass to Adams twice as much just so Adams pads his stats. Yeah, look, I think Garrett is absolutely justified in how he's feeling right now. Absolutely. I just think better coaching can help mitigate some of the issues we're seeing with the buddy ball situation. D. Frank, what's your thoughts on the quarterback room, Texas, and drafting him mid-round? So Quinn Ewers, I don't think he's going to come out this year. I think you're going to see him transfer to another school. He was supposed to be, I think, I don't know if he was going to be a first-round pick last year or like a second-round pick last year, but I don't think he's played well enough to like want to come out. I think his NIL money is probably better than a mid-round quarterback contract. So I would stay in college one more year. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be able to stay at Texas because Arch will start next year. But I would stay in college for one more season if I were him. Wild Wave. If we get 3 firsts for Garrett, I might drive him to the airport. 3 firsts, that's a lot. You get 3 firsts, I think you kind of have to do that. But that's silly. No one's going to do that. after the Zach Wilson pick, I weighed the competition these guys play against in college a lot more. Yeah, but we got to see JJ play against the best of the best in the college football playoffs and win it all. So there's that. With Tank Dell going down with a torn ACL and dislocated kneecap, Houston needs a wide receiver. Okay, so I didn't actually hear what Tank Dell had. I saw the injury and everyone being upset and crying and whatnot. I do think Houston will offer 2 first-round picks for Garrett Wilson. I 100% believe that's going to happen. Now, that's not something I really am interested in doing because those are going to be late first-round picks, and Garrett Wilson's more valuable than 2 late first-round picks. You got to offer me something better than that. I'd be disappointed, but I think that's the spot to look. If Garrett's going to go somewhere, that's the spot. If he returned a kick for a touchdown, he would drop the ball before the end zone. You talking about Corley? That'd be disappointing. Yeti, what's good, dude? Hey, Ryan. Thanks, buddy. What's up, Yeti? I like the little snowboarding meme. I got to go riding this year. I got my skis on my board. I got to take them out. I got to give them a fresh wax. Trading up for Corley and still not playing him. You can't make this up. Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I don't get it. Radimus, what'd I miss? Oh, sorry, I'm late. What'd I miss with Garrett? Yeah, look, Garrett wants out. We heard his comments after the game yesterday. Non-committal. Is he just leveraging for a big contract, or is he like legitimately serious and wants out? With Tank Dell going down in Houston, I think there's a real good chance they're going to offer us a lot of draft picks to go get him. Yeti, best puppy name, female, kids, Rufus or Ridley? I'm a sci-fi guy leaning towards Ripley. Thoughts? I love Ripley. Yeti, so don't tell Becca this. Well, you can tell Becca this. I don't care. I wanted to name either one of our daughters Ripley because I'm a big sci-fi guy as well. And Ripley, I thought, was such a cool name from the Alien franchise that it would be like a powerful girl name for one of our kids. But then I got the whole, it's going to be Ripley's, believe it or not, and they're going to get made fun of. And I was like, nah, I don't care. Amelia was another one, obviously with the plane stuff. I thought Amelia was a cool name. Female kids, Rufus or Ridley? I'm going to say Ripley. I want Ripley. I think that's a cool name. Zach was a one-read college quarterback who never faced pressure, throws one speed, and never hit an in-stride vertical between 31 and 50 yards. That is oddly specific, and I did not know that. Out of everyone, Garrett is the only reason why I would go to a game. I just bought his jersey. That tells me we're trading him. If there's no other indicator, it's the fact that I bought his fucking jersey. We get the jersey and right out the fucking door. Oreo. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson allegedly taking shots at Aaron Rodgers, and apparently Rodgers took shots at Wilson in the presser. I don't think Garrett Wilson will want to be here if Aaron is here. I agree. I think Garrett wants Aaron gone. And I don't necessarily disagree. I could really go either direction. I think our team is better with Garrett here. If Garrett is happy with potentially having a losing season next year, but Rodgers is gone and Devontae is gone, I think you take your medicine and you just figure out the quarterback situation. Rodgers isn't the long-term answer anyway. So unless you think you're winning a Super Bowl next season, which with the chemistry, I feel like that's probably far-fetched. He's just a bridge quarterback. I don't know. Figure out what quarterback makes Garrett happy. JJ's with Minnesota and has nothing to do with us. No, but if we wind up bringing in, say, Vrabel with a Josh McCown at OC, and they re-up Sam Darnold for a 3-year, $150 million contract like Schefter was sort of anticipating, they might be more inclined to move on from him. I could see it, especially if they don't feel great about the knee. Bino's got 4 girls. Angelina, Autumn, Sophia, Gianna. Beautiful names, beautiful names. JJ can do anything he wants on a football field. Superior leader, athlete, competitor. Tony seems to know his quarterbacks. I'm on board. I like the JJ trade. Because like, especially in this draft, like I don't feel like the difference in say like the 10th pick, which is where I think we're going to ultimately end up. I think we win one more game. If we are at the 10 pick, or even say the 8 pick. We're at the 8 pick, and you fall back to say pick 28 or whatever the Vikings are. You get JJ, and you still have a first round draft pick. That's gravy to me. That's like I'm on board. And then even if you want to run it back with Aaron for a year, like if that was the case, like hey, we're going to make a move. We're going to get JJ. He's going to sit behind Aaron for a year while he recovers from this knee injury. He actually gets the backup role. Fine. Or if you just want to trade for him, let Tyrod start and work him in slow, that's fine too. I think the JJ trade is one that is enticing to me more than most other options. Kev's telling me Ryan is the reason Garrett is going to get traded. I just said it was going to happen, and it was going to happen to Houston a year ago. I've been saying this for a long time, that's where it's going to go. I just don't want it to happen. Tag Garrett Wilson twice. It'd still be cheaper, right? Like you can legitimately have him play out his 4th year, his 5th year options, and franchise tag him 2 years in a row before it starts costing you more money than like a top wide receiver contract. It's crazy. Can you and O'Leary stop buying jerseys? Dude, it never fails. I just buy so many jerseys. I did last year. I may not buy a jersey next year. I still want a JJ jersey, like Jermaine Johnson. I really like Jermaine. But I think I might wait to see how he rebounds before I do that. Oreo. So what do? You were 100% in on keeping Rodgers next season. Do you keep Rodgers and trade Wilson to keep Wilson, or keep Wilson and let Rodgers and Adams and Lazard walk? I'm 100% keep Wilson no matter what. Yeah, there's no situation where I want to trade Garrett Wilson. So I would be more inclined to move off of Rodgers. Like, if you could convince me that Garrett could put up with Rodgers for one more year, I would probably just tell Garrett to suck it up and play for one additional season. But if it has to come down, like, it's Garrett or Aaron, I'm getting rid of Aaron. It's just, it's not worth the headache. I'd rather keep the kid for the next 10 years in Garrett than worry about Rodgers for a season and have to replace an elite level wide receiver. I think that would be an absolute silly thing to have to do. If we get Justin Fields, how happy would Garrett Wilson be? He might be all right. Like, that's the weird thing about this whole thing with me. Like, I think Rodgers is the best quarterback you could possibly have for next season, realistically, for the Jets. But I think Garrett would almost enjoy playing with Fields more. And Fields is going to be cheap. Like, if you can get Fields and Travis and Tyrod as your quarterback room, and Garrett's happy, and you're still kind of setting yourself up for a high draft pick in 2026, or one of these guys pops off, and maybe one of them is the guy, I don't hate it. I think the JJ trade is the one that's the most appealing to me, though. Out of conference. Dante. If it's between Aaron or Garrett Wilson, it's Garrett Wilson. Yes, Dante, I agree. Fields will be cheap because he sucks. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's bounced around the league. He was 4-2, though, at one point. Steelers team's really good. Tomlin's really good. Wildwave says, yeah, I bookmarked the tweet where you said Garrett would end up in Houston. Dude, if you have it, can you send it to me on Twitter? Because I'm curious when I said it. I'm pretty sure I said it a year ago. It was like I think it was around this time last year where I was like, his ass he wants out. He's going to go play with Stroud. It's fucking, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it at all. Oh, man. I like it. If you're still on, I call in with Ridley shortly. If you don't, my son is named Bishop. Huge sci-fi fan. Sorry. I know this is a Jet show. That's all right. I graduated with a film degree, so I'm a big movie guy. It's all good. All right, boys and girls. I've enjoyed talking with you. It's been a lot of fun. Before I do, want to acknowledge two sponsors. Our first sponsor of the stream, obviously, BetUS. If you guys haven't heard already, get 150% bonus match on your first deposit up to $2,000 with the code YouTube150. How many games do you think the Jets win? Do they beat the Bills? Do they beat the Dolphins? Let me know in the chat where you think they ultimately end up. And if you haven't heard about our other sponsor, Via. Need a break from the crowded stores and endless gift lists? Restore your zen and embrace the natural power of hemp this season with Via. This holiday season, unwind and recharge with Via. Whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or embracing the festive cheer, Via's premium THC and THC-free gummies will help you find your perfect holiday balance. Via is well-renowned for its award-winning THC and THC-free gummies and vapes, THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops, all crafted with the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. And the best part, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. So if you're 21 or older, check out the link in the description to Via's website. Link down below. Jets Talk for 15% off. This holiday season, gift yourself some peace of mind. 15% off. After you purchase, they ask where you heard it from. Please tell them that you heard from me. I sent you over there. This holiday season, enhance your everyday with Via. Boys and girls, it has been a rough, really rough season. We got 2 games left. Don't let this team absolutely destroy your holiday season. Have fun with you and yours. Be safe. Enjoy the holidays. Eat some good food. Have some good laughs. Have some good drinks. Some good edibles. Do what you got to do. Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun. I'll talk to you probably won't be on Christmas Eve. Probably maybe Thursday or Friday. I'll hop on. We'll do something. Talk a little bit of football. See where we're at. If any big news breaks, I'll shoot out a video. But it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. This is Jets Talk. Signing off. JETS.